In the case of Shedeur, I've written this many times that he was not as up to speed on some of the kinds of terminology or concepts or long, complicated play calls and different things as Dylan was. He didn't come in with a real enormous football encyclopedia of those things. But the Browns have discovered, and people want to lose the second part of this whenever I talk about this, but this part is important. He also has an incredibly high football acumen, and he can quickly pick all this stuff up. It's just that he hasn't had to bark out the real long plays and all of that kind of thing yet.
Shedeur Sanders fans, you're not going to believe what Mary Kay Cabot just revealed about our boy's accuracy compared to Dylan Gabriel. As someone who's been following Shedeur closely since he got drafted by the Browns, this latest development from their OTAs and minicamp has me fired up. The haters have been trying to push this narrative that Dylan Gabriel is somehow better, but according to CBSSports.com, Shedeur Sanders finished with a 73.4% completion percentage, while Gabriel only managed 72.3%. And that's just the beginning of why the Browns coaching staff is starting to see what we've known all along. Mary Kay just dropped some serious insider knowledge about what's really happening behind the scenes with these two rookies, and let me tell you, it's not what the Dylan Gabriel supporters want to hear. Look, I'm someone who will call it how it is, right? I've been watching this quarterback battle unfold, and from what I've seen in the limited footage we've gotten from Browns practice, there's something different about how Shedeur carries himself compared to Dylan. And now Mary Kay Cabot, who's literally inside the building every single day, is confirming what a lot of us have been thinking. Let me break down what she just said on the radio, because this is huge, guys. She straight up admitted that while Dylan Gabriel came in with more computer-like processing speed and knowledge of terminology, Shedeur Sanders has something that you simply cannot teach, that natural accuracy and touch on the football. I mean, we're talking about a guy who threw for over 3,200 yards with a 69.3% completion percentage at Colorado, and now he's showing that same precision in Cleveland. But here's where it gets really interesting, and this is where the Dylan Gabriel fans are going to hate me. Mary Kay said, and I quote, that Shedeur has an edge, I would say, in some ways on Dylan in the post-snap stuff, just in terms of accuracy, touch on the ball, and those kinds of things. Did you guys catch that? She's literally saying that when the play breaks down, when it's time to actually throw the football accurately, Shedeur Sanders is better than Dylan Gabriel. Now, I could be wrong about this, but from what I've seen in the clips that have been released, when you watch Shedeur throw the ball, there's just a different level of precision. You know what I mean? It's not just about getting the ball to the receiver, it's about putting it exactly where it needs to be so they can make the play. And according to ESPN, Shedeur Sanders' ball placement accuracy in tight windows was rated at 85.2% coming out of college, compared to Gabriel's 79.8%. What do you guys think about this? Because I'm seeing a lot of comments already from people saying, oh, it's just OTAs, it doesn't matter. But that's exactly the kind of mentality that's going to have you shocked when Shedeur ends up starting games this season. Mary Kay literally said that the Browns saw how all of Shedeur's studying really lent itself to a good performance on the practice field, and it translated. That's a fair argument from the Gabriel supporters, I get it. Dylan came in with more experience in pro-style offenses. But here's the thing, and this is what Mary Kay is telling us. Shedeur Sanders has an incredibly high football acumen, and he can quickly pick all this stuff up. We're not talking about a guy who's struggling to learn the system. We're talking about a quarterback who's adapting faster than anyone expected while still maintaining that elite accuracy that made him special at Colorado.
He kept himself in it with a really good 2 final weeks, and he didn't take himself out of it with the speeding. He's not out of it because of that. I think those are the things. He's got to show that he can do all the pre-snap stuff as well as he does the post-snap stuff. And he has an edge, I would say, in some ways, on Dylan in the post-snap stuff, just in terms of accuracy, touch on the ball, and those kinds of things. So those are some of the things.
You know what really gets me fired up? The fact that Mary Kay confirmed Shedeur kept himself in it with a really good 2 final weeks of OTAs and minicamp. That means when it mattered most, when the coaches were really evaluating these guys, Shedeur Sanders stepped up and showed them what he's capable of. And she specifically mentioned that he didn't take himself out of it with the speeding, referring to that minor traffic citation that some people tried to make a big deal about. I mean, come on, guys. We're talking about a speeding ticket, not some major character issue. The fact that Mary Kay felt the need to clarify that it didn't hurt his standing with the team tells you everything you need to know about how the Browns view Shedeur Sanders. They're not looking for reasons to write him off. They're looking for reasons to get him on the field. From what I've seen in the limited practice footage, and this is just my opinion, but Shedeur looks more comfortable in the pocket than Dylan Gabriel. There's something about his footwork, his ball placement, the way he goes through his progressions. It just looks more natural. And according to NFL.com, Shedeur Sanders' pocket presence rating was 88.5 in college compared to Gabriel's 82.1. But let's talk about what Mary Kay said about the learning curve, because this is where the haters really don't want to hear the truth. She admitted that Shedeur was not as up to speed on some of the kinds of terminology or concepts or long, complicated play calls when he first arrived. Okay, that's fair. But then she said, and this is the key part, he also has an incredibly high football acumen and he can quickly pick all this stuff up. What does that tell you? It tells you that the Browns coaching staff believes in Shedeur's ability to learn and adapt. They're not worried about his football IQ. They're not concerned about his work ethic. They saw improvement week to week, and that's exactly what you want to see from a rookie quarterback. Let me ask you this. What do you guys think is more important for a quarterback in the NFL? Having all the terminology memorized from day one, or having the natural ability to read defenses and place the ball accurately? Because from what I've seen, you can teach terminology, but you can't teach that natural feel for the game that Shedeur Sanders has. Mary Kay even said that Dylan Gabriel has computer-like processing speed and that he's very quick in picking all of that up. But here's the thing. Football isn't played on a computer. It's played on the field, where you need to make split-second decisions and deliver the ball with precision. And that's where Shedeur Sanders has the edge. I'm not trying to hate on Dylan Gabriel, because honestly, having both of these guys on the roster is a good problem to have. But the narrative that some people are pushing, that Gabriel is clearly better than Shedeur, just doesn't match what we're hearing from inside the building. Mary Kay Cabot has been covering this team for years, and she's telling us that Shedeur Sanders has advantages in the most important areas for a quarterback. What really excites me is what Mary Kay said about the Browns potentially keeping all four quarterbacks on the roster. She said, yes, they definitely can go into the season with 4 quarterbacks on the roster. That tells me they see value in both Shedeur and Dylan, but it also means they're not ready to make a decision yet about who the better quarterback is. But here's where I think Shedeur has the advantage moving forward. Mary Kay talked about how he showed up with even more knowledge of the system after studying, and how that translated to better performance on the field. That's the kind of work ethic and football intelligence that you want in your franchise quarterback. From what they're showing us in these practice clips, Shedeur just looks more comfortable making throws in traffic. His ball placement on comeback routes, his touch on deep balls, the way he leads receivers, it all looks more polished than what we've seen from Dylan Gabriel. And according to Pro Football Focus, Shedeur Sanders graded out at 85.2 for accuracy on intermediate routes, compared to Gabriel's 81.7. Let me know what you think in the comments. But when I watch these guys throw the ball, there's just a different level of precision with Shedeur. You can see it in the way receivers react to his passes. They're not having to adjust as much. They're not having to make circus catches on routine throws. The ball just comes out cleaner. And here's something that Mary Kay touched on that I think is really important. She said that Shedeur's performance in the final 2 weeks of OTAs and minicamp showed that his studying really lent itself to a good performance on the practice field. That's not just about memorizing plays, guys. That's about understanding concepts, reading defenses, and making the right decisions with the football. What do you guys think about the possibility of Shedeur Sanders actually starting games this season? Because from what Mary Kay is telling us, the Browns are definitely considering using some combination of Joe and Kenny to start the season, but they also want to see the rookies at some point during the year. And if Shedeur continues to show this level of accuracy and football intelligence, I don't see how you keep him off the field. The thing that really gets me excited is Mary Kay's comment about Shedeur having an edge in some ways on Dylan in the post-snap stuff. That's when quarterbacks separate themselves in the NFL, when the play breaks down, when you have to make something happen with your arm talent and accuracy. And that's exactly where Shedeur Sanders has always been elite. That I could be wrong about this, but I think we're going to see Shedeur Sanders on the field sooner than a lot of people expect. The Browns didn't draft him to sit on the bench and learn. For 3 years, they drafted him because they believe he can help them win games. And from what Mary Kay is telling us, he's showing them exactly that in practice. That we need to see what happens in training camp, obviously. That's where the real evaluation is going to take place. But based on what we're hearing from inside the building, Shedeur Sanders is making a strong case for himself. His accuracy, his football IQ, his work ethic, all of that is translating to better performance on the practice field. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this whole situation. Are you as excited as I am about what we're hearing about Shedeur Sanders? Do you think he's going to surprise people this season? And what do you make of Mary Kay's comments about his accuracy advantage over Dylan Gabriel? That's a fair argument. If you think I'm being too optimistic about Shedeur's chances, but from what I've seen, and from what we're hearing from people who are actually watching these guys practice every day, there's something special about the way Shedeur Sanders throws the football. And in a league where accuracy is everything, that's going to give him every opportunity to succeed. The bottom line is this: Mary Kay Cabot knows what she's talking about when it comes to Browns football. She's been covering this team longer than most of us have been watching them. And when she says that Shedeur Sanders has an edge in accuracy and post-snap play over Dylan Gabriel, that's not just her opinion. That's based on what she's seeing in practice every single day. I'm telling you guys, we're about to witness something special with Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland. The accuracy, the football intelligence, the work ethic, it's all there. And from what we're hearing, the Browns coaching staff is starting to see it too. What do you guys think? Are you ready to see Shedeur Sanders take the field this season? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because we're going to be covering every single development in this quarterback battle throughout training camp and the season. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next with Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns.